That folk music that you play there, what is that? How do you call that folk music?
I think it was Studs Terkel who asked Big Bill Brunzi, did he consider his blues music to be folk music? And Big Bill says, well, never heard no horse.
Bob shooby-doo-doo, booby-doo-dow. Hidey-ho. Bang!
Hot dog!
Don't hesitate! It could be your ticket to a new tomorrow!
Welcome to Horse to Sing None of It. My name is Ralph Litwin. This is Chin.
Ralph.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you.
We were in school together at Rhode Island School of Design many years ago. We won't say how many.
Yeah.
And it's good to see you again.
You too, Ralph. You haven't changed a bit.
I haven't, huh?
No.
Chin is, for those watching, is a nationally known storyteller, flute player, and jeweler. And he also makes some of these instruments.
Yeah. Yeah, I make a lot of flutes and other instruments too.
And you have recordings, and you even organize art shows.
Yeah, in Santa Fe.
In Santa Fe.
Yeah.
So tell us your background is.
I'm a native person. I'm Blackfeet and Narragansett.
And you grew up?
I was born in Virginia, and I grew up in rural Virginia, in King William County, Virginia, where I went to segregated schools. In those days, it was segregated for colored people. Then I moved up to Rhode Island and went to school there in Rhode Island, and lived in Rhode Island for a while, back and forth. Virginia, Rhode Island, Virginia, Rhode Island. Yeah.
Now residing in New Jersey.
And yeah, now residing here in New Jersey, and not a bad day in New Jersey. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Cool. Yeah. Would you like to play another tune for us, or tell a story?
Yeah, you know, I actually, do you mind if I play the song I was playing and I play it right this time?
We'd be thrilled.
All right, let me see if I can do it. There you go.
All right.
Most of the native songs are short, and they would just play it over and over again because it was usually the signature of the young man. Because in traditional native culture, what we call BC America, and we know what we mean by BC America.
Enlighten me.
Before Caucasians.
Ba-da-bum.
Ba-da-bum. The songs were short. It was the young man's signature, and he would just play it over and over again with some improvisations. So that's, and hopefully it worked. And if it didn't, of course, he would probably go and find a song or pay for a song that did work. Yeah. A little history on native flutes then is, and I brought this flute to show you. The interesting thing about the native flute and the sound that it has is because there are two chambers inside the native flute. There's a wall there. And that's what gives it its sort of round, soft sound. And when a young man needs to send his message of love to the lady that he's in love with, he would go to an elder and bring a gift. And if the elder accepted the gift, he accepted the responsibility of teaching the young man how to make and play the flute. He'd tell him, go out to the woods, get a piece of straight grain wood, as long as your fingertips to your elbow or as long as your shin is. And the young man would bring that wood back as fast as he could. And then he would tell him to hollow it out. He would hollow it out by his index finger. That's how he would know what size to make it. The reed would be the size of his hand, the distance from the end of the flute to the reed. The reed to the first note hole would be the size of his hand. Each note hole space would be his thumb. Each note hole would be smaller than his finger, pinky. The last note hole in the end of the flute is, again, his hand size. And because we native people know that there are other beings on this earth that have knowledge beyond what we do in many aspects. We humans are just another creature. We sometimes go to them and ask for their help. And in this case, usually we would carve a bird on our flute to help us sing. In this one, I have a horse. And we know why we use the horse, because horses are studs.
Ba-dum-bum.
Yes.
And they sing none of it, too.
Yeah. And say it again?
They sing none of it.
And they sing none of it. Horses, there you go. And then you have your flute. And the young man would play his flute in the evening time to serenade the young lady he is in love with. Yeah, that's
Cool.
how the native flutes come about. You want me to talk more about the flutes or anything?
Whatever you want to talk about. I'd like to hear about
Well,
it.
we had this cute little one, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Made of cedar, red cedar. Most of the native flutes are made of cedar and or whatever woods are indigenous to the area in which they are, such in the Southwest, they might make them out of cottonwood. I always say, though, if a young man were to come to my door, I have 4 beautiful daughters, if he would come to my door playing this flute, I'd be very upset. You know, because, you know, he's keeping this flute in his back pocket ready at any time he sees a beautiful young lady. So, wouldn't want that kind of Casanova at my place.
So I'm curious, with the 2 chambers,
Yeah.
what the resonation caused by the breath makes the note in the other end? How does that happen?
No, well, what happens is, just like almost one of those Parliament cigarettes in the old days, they had that recessed filter, keeps you from getting cancer. So that that chamber that's in there tends to slow down the air, of course. It hits the wall. And for whatever reason that does that, it tends to give it that more round, softer sound, whereas if it was straight to like a recorder, straight to the reed or the fibia, it would be more sharp.
Oh, so the air flows through, but it's blocked by the
Yes,
partially
that's why
by the
there's 2
wall.
holes here, so that the air can come up and then cut across and then down the reed.
Oh. Cool.
Yeah, that's why it's made that way. It's the only instrument that I found in the world and doing my research on native music that has that kind of construction. And most of the native flutes are 6-holed flutes based on the Pantanic scale, but there are some that are 5 holes like that, whereas one note is missing and they're kind of squeezed together, and there are some that are 5 notes like that in consecutive order. We play this one, let you sound. Now, traditionally, native men would carve animals that would be animals of power to them and put it on their flutes. I saw this lizard carved on a flute in a museum, and I decided to carve the similar lizard to see. And that's how that one sounds. This is also red cedar, and I put a bone mouthpiece on there. I use a mouthpiece, not a lot of people do that, but I use it because the saliva tends to build and fill up this chamber, and it limits your amount of time you can play your flute, because if it gets all wet. So using that helps to keep the saliva from building up into the chamber and allowing you to play it for a longer time.
Such a peaceful making sound.
That's what people say. They say it's haunting, and I can't quite understand what that means. I get a little afraid when haunting goes in. So yeah, it is a nice, peaceful, meditative sound. And when I put out my first CD, that's what people would say. They would use it for meditating or quiet time, or many times teachers would tell me they would use it in their classroom, quiet the students down. Yeah.
We just happen to have those CDs to show.
Yeah, I put out 3 CDs. My latest one, of which I do not have here because I sold out, was nominated for the American Indian Music Awards.
That's very nice.
Yeah, I played it with a South American, Giovanni. It was the first of its kind of a Native American flute, North American and South American at the time when we put it out. Yeah.
Cool. And for people who want to find out information about your performing schedule and information about these and your other work,
Yeah.
you're also wearing some of your jewelry
Oh, yes.
that people can find out about. The address is Chin, TChin @AOL.com. It's up on the screen there.
Right. That's the email address, although I do have a website. Unfortunately, I don't remember the address. So
If you have a computer, try putting TChin in your search engine, and you may
exactly
come up with it.
Yes. Yeah. Good.
Would you like to tell a story?
Okay. We have our what people call stories. We Native people, we don't call them stories. We call them lessons, because they teach us how the universe comes to be, and how animals come to be, and how they come to look the way they do. And long in the way time past, rabbits actually looked very different than they do now. Long in the past time, rabbits had short ears, and they even had long arms and long legs, and they even had a long tail. Very different than the way rabbits look today. Well, one day Rabbit was out in the springtime looking for something to do and something to eat, as rabbits always are doing. They're always looking for something to eat and something to do. And so Rabbit was out, and he came upon this willow tree that had fresh shoots in it, and it made Rabbit very hungry. And he wanted to taste some of these shoots, but even in those days, rabbits weren't good tree climbers. So he decided that he would like to play in the snow, and it was springtime and there was no snow, but on an occasion, like this year, we do get snow. And so he remembered that his grandmother told him that if you can wish for something hard enough, it can happen. So Rabbit started to dance around and sing his song, and he said, "Oh, how I wish it would snow. Oh, how I wish it would snow." And he danced around that willow tree singing his song, and as he sung his song, it started to snow a little bit, and this made Rabbit so happy that he sung his song stronger and harder, and he sang, "Oh, how I wish it would snow." And as it did, it started to snow so much. It snowed so much that it rose as high as the branches of that willow tree. And now Rabbit not only played in the snow, he was able to eat some of the fresh shoots in that willow tree. Now Rabbit filled his stomach and was tired from all of that and wanted to go home, but when he looked, he saw that the snow had come and covered all his home. So he rested in the crotch of that willow tree, and when he woke up in the morning, The sun had come out and melted all that snow away. Now Rabbit is high up in the willow tree and wondering how is he ever going to get down again and not being able to dance and sing his song. He could sing but not dance. He held on because he was very afraid, and as you know, rabbits are not good tree climbers. So he took that long tail that he had in those days and he wrapped it very securely around the branches and held on really tight as he could. And he was looking and wondering how is he going to get out of that tree. And just as he was looking over, snap, his tail broke. And when his tail broke, he fell out of that tree. And as he was falling out of that tree, his little short ears would get caught in the branches and stretch and pull until they are as long as they are today. And when that rabbit, he fell out of that tree, hit that ground so hard that his long straight arms shot into his body and became little short arms just like they are today. And when that rabbit fell out of that tree and he hit that ground so hard, his long straight legs bent and broke just like they are today, bent. And when the rabbit fell out of that tree, he hit that ground so hard, he smashed his face, and when he did, he split his lip. So now you know why rabbits have long ears, a split lip, a little short arms, broken rear legs, no tail, and they have to hop everywhere they go. Now you know what I have just told you is true as we native people see it. And you can prove it to yourself any springtime, just as it was this time. You can go out into the woods or into a park and look up in the willow tree and you will see where Rabbit has left his tail, because that is why the willow tree looks like it does. And that is why rabbits look the way they do. Aho, and that is all. Now you know why rabbits look the way they do. This is a new kind of flute that is coming around in native country. It is my belief and my research on researching Native American music that the flutes, the culture of flutes and flute playing in this manner come up from the south, probably Mexico and that area. This is a new flute moving around in native culture, and I'd like to let you hear what it sounds like. Hopefully it's working right now. The good thing about it is that it is somewhat tunable, because it has a movable sound. Okay, there we go.
Right.
Thanks. If you notice, there's a duck on here. Usually, if we carve ducks, they're aquatic birds. Most of the traditional flutes have ducks on them, and sometimes birds or ducks here. I happen to like putting horses on there because of the strength and power of horses. And again, there's a mouthpiece. And again, this is also made of red cedar and wrapped in rawhide. As you heard, there was two sounds. People call this a drone flute or a harmonizing flute, and it of course has two reeds of which I turn off and on as I play it. I constructed this in a manner so that I can turn it off and on. Some of the other flutes are made in such a way that the droning is constant, But I like the idea of surprising the audience when I do it, and they go, "Oh, wow!" So, you know, always wanting to give a surprise. It's always nice.
Cool. You could play that some more, and I wouldn't object.
Some
at all.
more?
Yeah, if you want.
I thought it was marshmallows and s'mores.
But
Okay.
is that a Native American rhythm? That ba-dum-bum?
Yeah, you know, it's that's part of our singing, you know. Ba-dum-bump. Ah, ba-dum-bump. Okay. What's your other question?
What would you like to do?
Oh, all right. I keep looking at the flutes and have all the ones that I brought, and so I would play another one for you. This is a rather interesting flute in that very few people have ever seen or heard this particular flute. And I always like to bring it to audiences because of the fact that very few people have ever seen or heard it. And the people who know how to make and play these flutes are fading away. And I always tell people that even though you may never learn how to make or play this flute, as long as you remember that this flute exists, it will always exist. And the interesting thing about this particular flute is that you do have to look at me really close in order to hear it. And it's very much like eating, that you have to be able to smell your food in order to taste it. And this flute is interested in that way. And so here is what this flute looks like. It is, of course, called a nose flute, and it's actually been found all over the world. It's been in Asia, Micronesia, Polynesia, Melanesia, Africa, and here in North and South America. In North America, it is played in the Southwest by the Apache people who live in Mexico, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, Texas. The Apaches get around. And so this is an Apache nose flute. And as I said before, very few people know how to make and play this flute anymore, and they are fading away. And hopefully, as long as you remember it's here, it will always be here. A nose flute. So that's how it's made. It's interesting on how the reed is off-center to the, so that it is a transverse flute, whereas the other native flutes are end-blown flutes or whistle-blown flutes, like a recorder. This is transverse because the air cuts across in a transverse manner. It has 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, and in the back is a thumb note. And so that's how it's played.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, great.
We've got just less than 4 or 5 minutes left. Do we have time for another story?
4 or 5 minutes. A short one. So grandfather wanted to go hunting with grandson, and grandson said, "No, grandfather, I can't be bothered. And so grandfather says, I insist, I really want to go. So grandson says he's going to test grandfather. And he says, can you see that hawk over there? And grandfather looks really hard and he says, yes, I see that hawk. And in fact, it has a mouse in its left talon. And grandson's getting really upset. And he says, grandfather, what about over there in the gully? What do you see? And he says, looking very hard, he says, I see a snake that just had lunch. Now grandson is really upset with grandfather, and he says, looks really hard at a hill, and he sees this hill, and he sees that there's a dog on the hill, and it was a strange dog. He says, grandfather, can you see that dog walking towards us? And it has one ear and one eye. And grandfather looked really hard. He says, oh, grandson, I see that dog with one ear and one eye, but it is walking the other way. Boom.
Very good.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good Indian story, and many times non-Indians don't get it. It's walking the other way. I have to repeat that punchline. Yeah, you got to repeat that punchline. But Indians, man, they get that right away. Yeah.
Okay, could we get a time from the control room exactly? How much time we have left?
Less than 2 minutes.
Less than 2 minutes. Shall we do this little
Okay, we can try.
number we
Yeah.
worked on?
So we'll play it for 2 minutes. We'll make it long, huh?
Yeah, well, we could talk a little bit more. We could tell people certainly how to get in touch with you again. TChin, TChin at AOL.com is the way to find out about Chin's recordings. And oh, we forgot to show also this children's book that you're the author of.
Yes, and that was the story that I just told, Rabbit's Wish for Snow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's on Scholastic Books. It's called Rabbit's Wish for Snow.
Very nice accomplishment.
Okay.
Thanks again for joining us.
Well, thank
Pleasure
you.
to have
I
you.
was really happy to be here. Ready?